welcoming here today the Minister of Police, Minister Bheki Cele. Thank you so much, Minister, for coming, and we're very eager to hear what you're going to tell us. And then also the National Commissioner of Police, Lieutenant General Fedusa. And, oh, sorry. You see, I'm a financial journalist. National Commissioner Tole and the head of the Hawks, Lieutenant General Fedusa.
We're
Oh my goodness.
This is Sevilla. This is Gauteng.
Then from SABC we have Mr. Twiname. SABC is the South African Bank Risk Information Center. And from Fedusa we have the Media and Research Officer, Mr. Nxumalo, and also from the NPWU, Mr. So let's get started. I'm going to ask Kevin from SABC to first just give us an overview of where we stand with cash in transit robberies at the moment.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for this opportunity. Perhaps just to step right into it, cash in transit crime, or as they're better referred to as heists, and more well known as heists, nothing else but aggravated robberies. We stand on 159 incidents versus 147 last year. Now that doesn't seem so bad. However, within the industry environment, we subcategorize the aggravated robberies of cash in transit into 8 separate categories. More particularly 2 that have been and always are an issue. What we refer to as cross pavements, that's where they actually carry the container cross pavement between service point and vehicle. That significantly has a reduction this year compared to all the previous years. The area that is of concern is where vehicles in transit are being attacked. And then obviously the use of explosives to access the vaults on the vehicles. That has increased from 25 last year, and it's not new, to 71 incidents this year nationally. So at the same time, I think there's been much talk about the violence. We have recorded both deaths, injuries, and wounded, 63 last year versus 91 this year. 67 of those incidents are where guards were injured fatally, wounded, or got injured during the incident. The provinces that quickly spring to mind where most of these are occurring, obviously Gauteng, followed by Nxumalo in Eastern Cape, then Limpopo, Northwest, and the Free State. Perhaps just before I close on that issue, just to bring to your attention, explosives used in heists on these vehicles, for the first time we recorded in 2009, a Flagstaff incident. Now you'll really think 2008, third month of 2008, we had a conviction on that particular case in January of this year. 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just before I ask our friends from Fedusa and NPWU to give us a bit of perspective about the risks that their members face, there are other unions also representing workers in the industry. We invited these unions and the Union Federation just as a voice to give us a perspective of what is it like to work in that industry, knowing the truck might be blown up on the next trip you make.
Okay, thank you very much. From our side, as a trade union representing most of the cash in transit employees, when this incident happened, like shocking every time, because each and every employee, when you go to work, I normally used to say, there is no job that is risky or dangerous. The only dangerous is those criminals out there. You can transport this cash every day without any incident until these robbers came and whether they rob or maybe they bomb the vehicle or they use the AK-47s. It's like a normal job. The only difference is on the day when you will be involved in a robbery. That is the reason why we had to make sure that we go to Fedusa as a trade union, saying to them as our mother body, we are having a problem. Surely we need something to be done about the robberies. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Anna Marie. For us, there are various issues related to the security or the safety of our officers. But I would say for us, really the key issues in terms of dealing with this matter is the apparent inability of the police, of our security forces, to gather intelligence about these criminals, to penetrate these criminals, so that they could preempt. And it's a serious problem. Preempting the incidents on the basis of intelligence gathered. And also, who are supplying these criminals? Where are the explosives coming from? Yeah, really, I mean, the banking industry, of course, as the business concerned, can provide security. It must provide security. But at the ultimate instance, it is the state responsibility to provide protection for their citizens. So as Fedusa, we appeal, our minister is here, we appeal really to do something about this situation, because lives are being lost, people are being seriously injured. I mean, people are injured who are involved, they are real people with real families. I mean, imagine, your father or mother is going to work and you don't know whether that your parent is going to come. So it's real families who are being affected by these people. And also just the public, just you are in a mall and you find yourself in crossfire. So we really appeal to the state to help us in this regard. Thank you, Anne.
And the Minister of Police, Minister Bheki Cele. Minister, we are all ears.
I would have loved to speak standing, but now the arrangement makes me speak sitting down, which does not tell me that I need to stand and walk. Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Are you fine?
Yes.
Are you fine?
Very fine, Minister.
Are you fine?
I'm fine, Minister.
Are you fine for this?
I'm fine, Minister.
Well, good afternoon again. We had to get a special permission from the President to be here. The cabinet is still going on, to come and speak with you. The rep of Fedusa, I'm not going to answer him now in here, but I will invite him to give some answers to him, minus you. We are fine as the South African police. We are fine, we'll get there. We have been briefing you now and again with the efforts we are putting there. We don't want to say the efforts have or are yielding fruit now. But again, I'm not going to say we're not turning the corner. Or, as it has been said, he raised the issue subject that there are these provinces when it comes to this cash heist. Our approach as the South African police is to deal with the crime. We have had the stories before, highlighting 4 or 5 things. That would be your gangsterism, Western Cape. That would be your political killings in KZN. That will be your cash heist in several provinces. That will be your tax industry problem. But there is a new phenomenon now that is coming on the case. I don't know if Yusuf Bamchi is here. That would be the kidnapping. That's a new one that has come on the fore. There are other crimes around here. So we are working on that, especially those cases that they bring fear, immediate fear to the communities. That does not undermine our focus on the women and children abuse. That remains the top issue. I was looking at the photos of these young girls that have been killed. I think it was a yesterday paper. It looks pretty bad that all those young, and it's a problem. It looks like the more you're beautiful, the more you are facing death. I don't know why. So those are the issues, but I'm sure most of the things that you are here for would be your cash in transit, because it's in the cold face of the media, cold face of the South Africans. I don't want to forget that, so I want to start with it, Commissioner,
Yes.
to urge the media fraternity. There is a new phenomenon that has come, the hawks social media. There is a hawk social media. On Thursday in Durban, somebody sent with a frenzy that there was a robbery in Musgrave Center. There was no robbery. Saturday evening, they sent even a more serious one, that somebody has been shot and killed in one jewelry shop. 3 people were held hostage, and there was a 5-year-old. There was nothing of that sort. Today, they sent another one that there was a cash heist at Sentin. There is nothing of that sort. We're simply saying to you, check and recheck your sources, because there is that one now that is coming. That's a friendly one from us to say you do it that way. Secondly, we will request you to report things as they were saying, or as you see them. I'm not going to say which station was it, but there was a TV station was reporting in Marlborough, that is near Alex, some few days or last week, that there is a cash heist here, there is no police. As he says there was no police, there was a blue light behind him. He said there was no police here. As he was saying, so look, there are no police here. There was a blue light behind him. But besides that, we had chased 2 of those cars, one to Alex and one to Soweto. But I must admit, concede, those guys, they disappeared, you couldn't find them. That's why he has bought 100 highly performing cars. You have seen them. The media has seen those cars, highly performing. Nobody's going to leave us and disappear anymore now. So that is in the preparation of engaging. As we have said, we're getting ready. We're not ready, we're turning the corner. In those preparations, we met them yesterday. We're meeting again on Monday to work. How do we work together rather than throwing the stone from the different position of dealing with this matter? Operation Thunder is beginning to yield very good results in Western Cape. Some stations that are known with the high level of killing, we have reduced that. We have reduced the activities of the gangsterism, and we are there. We're sanitizing the place, we're stabilizing. We can, at the later stage, give the real stats of the achievements there. But today, we want to hear more about this scourge of cash heist that brings a lot of fear and a lot of talk especially it was pitched at the place called Boxburg.
Yeah.
It was pitched there. Everybody began to talk about it. I was speaking to one of my friends who was watching the overseas stations, that his friend overseas was sitting with his son and says, this is South Africa when they saw that Boxburg, and this young man says, South African can produce good movies, beautiful movies, when he saw the Boxburg activity. And the father said, no, it's not a movie, it's a real stuff. And this young man said, no, they are good, in whatever form. Out of that, you remember, we arrested 5 or 7?
It's 5.
5.
Yeah, it's 5.
We arrested 5 of that. There is this element of foreign element on the matter, of which you are looking at, and we are not going to be mentioning nationalities at the present moment because we'll be accused of xenophobia. But no, okay, let me not. Because if I arrest the Zulu, I'm not going to say I arrest the Shangaan. So at one time, we'll really have to begin to mention and work with their representatives in the country to say, your nationals are giving us problem here. So we will have to come to that. Since then, almost every day there have been a cash in transit heist. Until a few days back, we started at Seval, where we arrested 3, we stopped it. This is after a thorough preparation. As we have said, that we're taking everybody out of barracks, especially our specialized units. We're giving them the best equipment. You saw the cars that we bought. I'm not going to sit here and advertise those cars, but they're beautiful, powerful cars. I tried to drive another one, and something beautiful. So that would be 3 days, 4 days back. But again, they tried us yesterday. They tried us yesterday at Zanini. They tried us at about 6:30. We responded. Maybe let me take the opportunity to thank and praise the farming community around there, that they worked with us, either farming community stroke neighborhood watch. Remember, is one call that we have been making all the time, to say communities must work with us. We want to thank those farmers around Zanini. 6:30, and then we responded. The farmers helped us block the way, and fire was there. Unfortunately, one of those guys will never ask bail, or never ask bail, because he's not in the position to ask bail anymore. The 3 of them are in hospital. The problem, when they go to hospital, they become very expensive because you send 2 police to guard them. So 4 of them were found there. We chased them, and we find a 5th one around there. That is last night. And we chased, or we tried to sanitize and find them around there. We have arrested 2. The figure there is 7 of those that have been arrested. So several of them were beginning to link them with other areas of HEIST. But as if that was not enough, we intercepted those that were involved a week, I think on the 4th of June, or earlier on at Witbank. We're driving to KZN. We intercepted them in Phosphorus. We arrested 6 of them. So in less than 24 hours, we have arrested 13 of these guys. We have arrested 13 of them. You can add your 3 at Val, and then we have a name. I'm not going to give you the name. We have arrested number 2 in the hierarchy. We have arrested him. He's in our hands. He's not in this figure, but he's number 2 in the top 20. There is one, of the top 20 of the cash heist kingpins here is number 2. We have arrested him. He's in our hands. So, not just only that, we are trying to disarm them in a big way. For instance, what we found there with the Zanini group is white Mercedes Benz, and I'm told it's ML, is black Audi. We find firearms, we find bulletproof vests from the police and the defense. We find 2 AK rifles, 1 R4, which is used by the SANDF, 1 Pateta pistol, 2 police bulletproof vests, as I've said, army bulletproof vests, as I've said, 1 hand 2-way radio, and we found the bags of money. The guys this time they couldn't win at all. This is a list, but also with the phosphorus group, we find I think 3 firearms and the cars that they steal. We have discovered that. Simply put, we are beginning to turn the corner. Our response, well, somebody spoke about the intelligence. You must remember that for 6 years, South African intelligence, crime intelligence did not have the head. Now we have the head. Maybe the story begins to tell that. You must remember that for some time, Hawks did not have the head. Here is the head sitting here. This guy, I don't know how to call him. He's an advocate, he's a general, he's a doctor of laws. So he's sitting here, and he will have to sort things for us. Lieutenant General Advocate Dr. Godfrey Libya. So we are getting ready. We are really beginning to turn the corner for the fact that we are working together. We'll be having the meetings. There are issues that we have raised with the industry, the cash, the CIT industry. I'm not going to raise those things here because we have raised with them. We'll be sitting down almost half a day or the whole day, putting our presentation to them, putting their presentation to us, and finding the answers together. The unions, we are making the invitation to them that we can avail ourselves to sit down and talk, because the issue here is to reverse the scourge, the fear of the people of South Africa, rather than spending more time pointing fingers and the blaming game among and between ourselves. That's what we want to avoid. I want to repeat this because some people thought that I was just on the arrogant side. South Africans are going to be safe. They thought I was just arrogant, I was partying more than what I can chew. When we begin to arrest 13 of them less than 24 hours, it tells us that South Africans are going to be safe. We are going to work hard together with them to make sure that we'll reverse the scourge. Most of you remember. If you don't remember, you go and check your crime statistics of 2010, 2011. We were almost forgotten that there was an animal called cash heist. We were almost forgotten that there was anything called the raid in the malls. That thing did not come with the rain, those blessings. We worked for it, some of us. Unfortunately, all this team you see here was here. It's the same team that we are going to go back, and South Africans are going to be safe. We'll make them safe. And the criminals have declared the war, and they must get ready to fight the war. All the units are out of the barracks. All the units are on the street. We'll be responding much quicker and responding much decisively as we respond. Nobody is going to go for cash heist or robbery, kill the police and go and sleep home. You'll have to find a place somewhere. Nobody is going to be able to do that. So that's a report we would like to share with you. For now, my commissioner maybe will have to add something in terms of our operations, but for now, that's a story to tell. You can go around and find out, which means we're almost arresting one criminal an hour, né? Yeah, one criminal an hour. Yeah, siyabasotha. Bazosotheka. So it's a story to tell at the present moment, Chairperson.
Thank you, Minister. The General said to me they will come in with the questions, operational matters. So let's start with the questions. I'm going to take 3 questions if the panel can just make notes. Just introduce yourself and the media after you.
It's Alex from News 24. Minister, Commissioner, and when these guys do the CO2 heists, they're obviously taking big sums of money. Is that money being tracked at all in terms of, are you guys seeing expenditure in certain areas? I mean, if these guys are stupid enough to deposit the stuff into bank accounts, is that being tracked? It's also quite clear that a lot of these heists are by highly trained professionals, as it were. Also, we found, you guys have found police equipment, you found SANDF equipment. Have you guys established links to the South African Army, to the police? And are we talking one major syndicate operating here? Or are we talking about a bunch of syndicates that are operating? Thank you.
Okay, next question on the side here.
Minister, so in terms of the nationality, are you seeing an increase as the years proceed with the amount of foreign nationals partaking in the crimes? And also, I mean, what kind of measures are police putting in place to make sure that the security guards who are driving these trucks are actually much safer?
Okay, right at the back, Yusuf.
Yusuf Ramji. Minister, Commissioner, first of all, congratulations on all the breakthroughs. But what is being done to ensure that these suspects don't get bail? We know very often they go to court, they get bail, they come out only to commit more crime. Are measures being put in place to make sure that these people remain behind bars?
Minister, do you want to address someone or do you want to ask for?
Commissioner Will, there is a policy broad question of the bail. Yusuf, you remember that government has what is called justice cluster, where we all talk. The front line of that are the police. Let me say, I was very perturbed and almost upset. I look at the cognac in my house. Unfortunately, I don't take cognac. It's for friends, but I nearly took it that night, or Saturday when they send that Hawks kind of thing. I immediately phoned the Minister of Telecommunication. I immediately phoned the Minister of Justice to say, can we have a law that will criminalize anybody that threatens the communities around this social media? Because you can't, I was told that in Gateway, everybody was running and was leaving the mall who was reading that thing. So we can't have that kind of situation. So we'll forever link up. But with the Minister of Justice, we have raised these matters of bail. And the problem with this bail, these guys don't stop as they come. Here in Pretoria, with my first stint with the police, there was a guy who had 41 bails. 41 bails, including robbery, including murder, including everything. So it's one thing that will work very hard with the cluster, but also including the correctional service. One good thing is that the Minister of Justice is also the Minister of Correctional Service, because some of these people, they get out of prison and continue with their criminal activities. That guy who killed that young, beautiful Sanya was given 7 years in 2013. He's supposed to be in prison. But what has he done now? He has caused that havoc and that pain and all that. So we will be dealing with that. Other questions, the commissioner and the head of Hawks will answer those questions.
Thanks very much, Honorable Minister, and thanks to the media for the questions. The first question I've captured was whether the money taken is being traced. There's two strategies that deals with the tracing of the money. It's in actual fact a three-tier approach. Immediately after a heist is investigated, has been executed, through the investigation process, we follow the money and try to trace where it could have gone. Secondly, most of the money is washed out through other means, which is through the illicit economy ways. And in order to also keep that and track the money, we've also designed the illicit economy combating strategy. And in terms of the illicit economy combating strategy, we're tracing all monies which are made in different unlawful ways and how they are utilized going forward. And then we have the unconventional approach, which is the organized crime approach. We're running covert operations, which we do not disclose to the public, but they are also target specific. This will include the case that the minister is related to say the number 2 ranking in the heist syndicates. We have arrested him. When we arrest people like that, we also do what we call the cold case analysis around these particular people. We trace where the money is. And obviously there's laws that also deal with asset forfeiture. The links to SABC and the army. Yeah, I would say that when we recover firearms, like the minister has indicated that certain of the firearms has been recovered, amongst others is also the R5. The R5 will always be either with us or maybe the army. We do trace some of these firearms to SABC and some of them to the army, which does not necessarily mean then that in that particular case, the army would be involved or the police will be involved. But then there are individual cases where we arrest some of those people whom we find to be part of those particular syndicates. So that's how we deal with the links. The question relating to whether is it one syndicate or several the syndicates, I am not going to disclose fully how many are those syndicates. Let me just say there are more than one, but we deal with them in terms of the unconventional policing approach. The assurance we can give is that we're following all of them and we're going to break all of them down. Then the measures that we propose to the security companies, I think firstly, we propose that they should be vetting all the security members. They should be vetted so that we are sure of the national security of the country. And then secondly, we also encourage lifestyle audits, thorough screening of them so that there's no possibility for them to be involved in the crime. We further also advise on the training measures, including certain equipments that should mitigate the risks which are there. I think the last question, General Advocate Dr. Libya is going to deal with it as far as bail is concerned. The only thing I can say is that we do have a bail defense strategy.
But there's one more, so that they don't come back about
Yes.
the police and the defense members. I'm not sure about the defense members, but for the South African police, there are members that have been arrested as part of this kind of thing. So we would not, as the Commissioner said last time, sit here and deny the bad involvement of our. The most one I like is the one who arrested with the Boxback gang.
Yes.
Who went to arrest somebody, and somebody said, don't arrest me, I'll give you some money.
Yes.
And he demanded 400,000. As he went there, he saw the money was too much. He said, no, give me another 400,000 for my mom. The guy asked another 400,000 for the mom. and he had 800,000. But the real other units of the South African police found the information, went to arrest this guy, and this guy said, but guys, I've just given you something, why do you arrest me? He said, come here, took that guy, took our police, they're both together, they're sharing the cell.
Yeah, maybe I can just also add, Minister, we've got good cooperation with defense. I personally, from time to time, also meet with the head of defense. If there's any criminal involvement of the defense members, firstly, they work together with us, we work with the military police, and they hand over that is criminal. We both have a zero tolerance to this. Thank you.
Lieutenant General Bheki.
Well, that was the Police Minister, Bheki Cele, giving a brief.
Thank you, Minister. Good afternoon. The issue of bail, the type of offences that we are dealing with are those that we have to oppose bail. And then it is understood that even the approach to this, the accused person have to be proven certain things to get bail. So the strategy from the word go is that bail will be opposed. As an example, we have just dealt with those cases that shall have been dealt with in the past less than 24 hours. I need to give another example that it's not only this. There is another accused that we have just added on the 7 that were arrested in Seychelles. So this additional one will be appearing tomorrow. The rest of the group is again coming on the 12th of June. That is a formal application of bail. That is where you will find us opposing bail. So the idea is that we are not going to agree to the granting of bail. The courts look at certain circumstances when a person applies bail, the danger to society, the danger to witnesses, the risk associated with whether this individual will return to come and appear in court or not. Some of the individuals that we are talking about are not only linked with the cases that they are arrested for. Those that the minister have just mentioned, we have already detected that they are linked to others, which means that you can't be expecting to be granted bail. So, in short, we oppose bail. Thank you.
The question from Jacaranda, I don't think you've been covered. I wonder whether SABC would be well placed with regards to the increase, the trend over years, and then the foreign nationals also asked about.
Well, I don't know if there's been increase because there's been the involvement of foreign nationals for some time. The head of police in Zim was a good friend of mine. So you can say what you want to say. And we worked very closely together. Is one person that besides SAPROC, the SADC head of police, that were bound together through SADC, we had an extra kind of working together. We would sit down and exchange very good notes. From his country, at that time, around about 2010, we did not have less than 100 of these guys that are inside as we speak. So maybe that kind, I'll give him information about those I want, he'll give me information about those. Unfortunately, there was not, or fortunately for them, there was not a lot of cash heist in their country until they changed the dollar to American dollar. Before that, there was not much cash heist. So we were working together on that. Of late, you would identify the specific country, but it looks like now the SADC, even criminally, is becoming SADC. You are beginning, maybe not as an increase of number, but there are more coming from, for instance, let me say we do have one from Botswana. We still have some from Zim, even among this group that we are having at the present moment. Whether the number is increasing, but for sure they are beginning to be more SADC, they're beginning to be more mixed, which then push us. Hence, he was in Angola last week, which also push us to work in that way. Ministers of security will be moving Angola soon, so that we, as they come together, we also work together to be able to respond.
SABC News. My question is for Minister and Sake. I heard you say, Minister, that around 2010, CIT, cash in transit, was a thing of the past. We had forgotten about it. I think there was a partnership between South Africa and the police and intelligence as well. So what happened? Did you let your hand off the ball, or how would you explain the return of the CIT?
Good afternoon, Mr. Commissioner panel. I'm Pretoria from ENCA. In 2015, there was an intelligence center that closed up because one of the big role players that sold off the cash in transit. And in that intelligence center, there was a dedicated member of the Hawks that was there and handled all that intelligence, etc., etc. Now, are you looking to try and reopen because of them selling off, and that intelligence center completely closed down, as I understand it? Is there a way that you and SABC and the Hawks or intelligence, somebody can, is there a plan to maybe reopen something like that? That's firstly. And secondly, on the involvement of police members, etc. In the 2000s, there was an anti-corruption unit in the police, and that unit completely closed down. Now there's IPID, etc., but IPID the mandate is very closed down. They can only investigate cases that was reported to them. Is there any way that you're looking to reopen a unit such as the anti-corruption unit in the police, that the mandate and the scope is a lot bigger? Thank you very much.
Sorry, I'm from the citizen. Mine is actually a quick one. What is the total?
Want a quick one, eh?
What is the total value of the cash that was taken this year?
Total value.
Okay, we'll come to the side next. We can take these questions.
The first one, I said it was almost, yeah? That's the term I used. Because if we moved down 59% in that year on the cash heist. So what happened, don't ask me. Don't ask me what happened. It's a question I'm asking. As we were there, we put structures. I'm not going to mention all the structures we put. And we are busy reviving some of those structures that we have put then, and very effective. Some of them were reversed, and a big chunk of us, we left. The head of Hawks left, Dramat, his deputy left, left, others left. So maybe on that one, something happened that I can't answer. What we know is that those structures that were useful and were functional, we are reviving them, and they are beginning to tell. And we are doing that across the South African Police Service. I do want to caution on this one. South African Police Service is not the Hawks. Hawks are the part of the South African Police Service. There are many other elements. For instance, yesterday, while Hawks were there, but your special units, your NIU, your Special Task Force, your TRT, your CATS would be part of it. We're working as this body. I want to repeat, it's a South African Police Service work rather than people extracting the element out of it. But these units are almost there, back again. You remember there was something called Amabaret. He has bought them cars now. bought them serious cars, he's still going to buy them to be able to perform, to respond and make sure that that happens. But it is on that score, it is on that history that South Africans will be safe again. South African police, they can take, I'm sure you'll talk on the total value of the money because the money is stolen from them. Eh?
Thank you. Before I do that, Honourable Minister, I think you're quite humble in the answer that you've given. I think, as you alluded to right in the beginning, I think what's important to realise is that we have a permanent structure in critical areas within our police service. The leadership that is now being displayed, you should have already been seeing in the last 3 to 4 weeks differences. And I think that's the contribution that you should have said, Minister, and I think you should actually have said it out loud. The fact is that in the agreements we have, we do not reveal the cash losses. I can tell you that it runs into millions. And there's a reason, because that's the agreement we have with law enforcement. I can't, however, tell you that of the 71 attacks on vehicles, 49 of those were a total write-off. Those vehicles cost between 1.1 and 1.4 million rand each. So the loss alone, just on the, and I'm not talking loss of life, injury, or any other damage or collateral damage, I'm talking about only loss of vehicle, never mind the cash loss, equates to approximately 67 million.
I think he'll have to respond on the question you asked of bringing back those structures. Him and the head of the intelligence and commissioner will have to respond. But as I've said, all structures that were good in place must come back in place. But you can say on that.
Yeah. Why don't you sit here? It's closer, so that we can move.
Thank you, Minister. Indeed, as the Minister has indicated, there are various activities that were discontinued, that we shall be ensuring that they are being revived. I have spoken to my members this morning. Indeed, I've also walked past the office where these activities of coordinating between cash transporting organization and the DPCR. I have seen that indeed it is closed. But those are the things that we will be reviving to ensure that we can't work alone. In another environment is where we deal with organized crime. The National Commission have indicated the revival of the organized crime threat analysis strategy. Those are some of the things that were unfortunately discontinued. We will be ensuring that those are put in place. That is an area where the investigators, the prosecutors, the asset forfeiture unit and various other entities participate. Those we will be revived. The anti-corruption units were indeed closed as part of those units that were closed in 2000. We have already reopened those. I think if you also go on the web, you'll see where you can report some of these activities on to the organized crime units. So the DPCI, they are there, the anti-corruption unit. I have been talking to them yesterday to see the nature of the work that they are having on hand. So we have, but what we will be doing is just, we are continuously going to enhance those areas where we have been weakened. Thank you.
May I take the opportunity of raising the issue of cash heist being a terrorism? It's not just cash heist, it's also terrorism. A few days back, we visited the family of Matebula, the principal at Tembisa, who had nothing to do with the Tembisa cash heist, who was shot and killed. Completely teacher, is a principal, very responsible person whom were bearing this salary because of this cash in hand. But more than that, there were two young boys. One works for a certain bank. He's an IT specialist. He nearly died. So there is this element of terrorism that we'll have to work hard, all of us, to make sure that we push this thing back so that we make South Africans to feel safe, and they must be safe. So the condolences to the family of Bab Matebula, Chris Matebula, the principal at Tembisa.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, thanks very much. Maybe it's just giving the assurance from the turnaround vision of the South African Police Service. One of the key deliverables there is the partnership, is building the partnership processes within your community policing also strategy. And on the front line of the agenda is the separate partnership strategy. I'm actually the designer of that, and Kevin will confirm. Now, within the separate partnership strategy, we then have the so-called back to basics principles. Now, within the back to basic principles, we revive and reinstate everything that worked. And some of the questions that you are raising, we are also talking about avenues which are already there within SABRIC itself, but they need to be formalized now in terms of the strategy. The strategy has been finalized and has been put in execution in April. This particular financial year is already there. It's just to give you that particular assurance that you will see these things that is flowing between this particular partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, General. I think the General has now alluded to what I would like to have said. It's just that in answer to News 24's question about the previous structures that were there, there's always been a relationship, and there's always been collaboration in respect of the crime that we deal with within the banking and the CIT industries. The mere fact that that particular structure was not in non-existence, as the Honourable Minister had said, that people come and go, that does not mean nothing was done. So I would just like to reiterate that from an industry perspective, and more particularly from a SABRIC perspective, we view fighting crime as a collective responsibility, and if we do not acknowledge that it is a collective responsibility, we cannot support our law enforcement partners. And it's very important that not only industries, but that the general public look at the same concept of reviewing crime as a collective responsibility if we want to get to the top of this. Thank you.
Well, its time is running out. Let's just take some questions from this side of the room.
No, they are done now. If they don't raise their hands, which means they are done.
Alex again from News 24. I just want to know, have you guys worked out the modus operandi for most of these heists? As in, there's a lot of inside jobs, and how many CIT employee arrests have been effected so far? Thank you.
Further questions from here, but I see there's a last burning question on that.
It's Lindy from the Star newspaper. My question is similar to his. I'm more interested in the why now. Because we had 159 heists throughout last year, and now we are only 6 months into 2018. Why so? What's the rush? Have we been able to establish that?
Okay, and colleagues, that's gone.
Modus operandi will deal with that. What's a rush? Yeah, what's a rush? Well, they will put that on the perspective of what's a rush. Some part of what a rush, unfortunately, we can't share it now. Yeah, definitely we can't. We slowly but surely we are finding out what's a rush. We are finding out what pushes the rush. Yeah, definitely there are things that I can't say now, but when we have evidence in hand, when we are proper, we will begin to share that information. But for us, it's not dealing with the rush, it's dealing with the reversal of the rush,
Yes.
of which I think that is our job, of which I think we have begun to put and to push that reversal of the job. He mentioned the 4 or 5 provinces. He didn't mention KZN, which most of these guys, they come from that province. Maybe that's why they were intercepted going back to KZN after they've done the job at Mpumalanga eMalahleni. Well, it might happen that they're raising funds for what I don't know. For what I don't know. But the list of 20 that it talks about, there are quite several of the guys that come from that province. I have several names of them. But cash heist in that province, that's why I can't even mention it, because maybe somebody somewhere in that province is doing very well of pushing. So if they've been squeezed out of KZN and think they'll come here, we'll squeeze them out. And the rush very soon is going to end. The modus operandi, usual technical people, they talk about those things.
No, thanks very much, Minister, and thanks for the question. I'm going to answer it in such a manner that I don't tell the criminals what I already know. Yes, so one, from the turnaround strategy point of view, one of the key deliverables is the establishment of a modus operandi analysis center, which I think it's the avenue that we have created. We are now doing modus operandi analysis continuously so. We have also subjected the current modus operandi, or all the different crimes, the manner in which they take place, to a modus operandi analysis. While I will not go through the details, and I'll give you some of the reasons why, I can only say to you that from a few analyses, yes, we established this inside job approach. There's infiltration, which we do deal with. But there's some of the modus operandi which start with crime and end up with national security. And that's also the type of a modus operandi that I will not disclose. Because then if certain crimes are used for the purpose of attacking the state, then we get deeper into such modus operandi. But the center is there at any given time. We will be knowing what is the new modus operandi, and we change our strategies. But secondly, what we intend to do now is to escalate the modus operandi awareness to our communities, so that if there's a new modus operandi, we inform the communities, we inform the affected role players, like for instance the banking center, because modus operandi analysis is part of the partnership strategy, the security industries that are conveying the money. So that's what is going to happen all the time. So that center is going to generate that particular modus operandi. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Just a last remark from MPW.
Okay, thank you very much. Our last remark will go to the Minister, the Commissioner, and we would like to invite you on the 12th of June to our march, just maybe to come and address the guys. The cash in transit guys are going to be marching, and then it will be an honor if you can come and address them.
I thought you were saying to join the march.
No.
Oh.
Okay.
just to come, but that one also, it will be nice. Okay. But just to come and address them, after giving I think we will be giving our letter to the MEC of Safety, and then maybe if you can have that opportunity to be there, just to address them when we are done, it will be an honor to us. Thank you very much.
From Fedusa.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say to the media police, we'll be having a protest march on this very issue. It will be national, Gauteng, and all the provinces. The major matches will be Johannesburg and Durban. So closer to the date, we are going to issue a media alert, but you can still be engaging us between now and then. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the banking and CIT industry to SABC, I'd just like to reiterate, Minister and to the Commissioner, like in the past, we will continue to provide the support where we can, work closely together, because I've just said that we view this as a collective responsibility. Thank you.
Minister, may I skip you and leave you for last, best for last, Commissioner?
Yeah, it's just two messages. The one is going to our communities and just emphasizing on our appreciation for the cooperation that we get in terms of the activation plan. And I think if this cooperation is sustained, I'm sure we'll finish these criminals within a very short space of time, because we've already started terminating them, or their operations. Yes. And then my other message goes to the members in blue. I think they heeded to the call when the minister pronounced on the stabilization. They went out there, they did not sleep. They took the risk, they faced the criminals. And I want to commend them. I said they are trained, they are equipped, and they've proven that up to this fact, because they are the ones who are still standing. They will continue to stand. And it's always my last message. Go out to all of them. Let us create a safe and secure environment to our communities. Let us protect our grand economic strategy, and don't die with your guns.
Thank you. From the investigative point of view, I would like to make a call to the community that the members of the DPCI are committed to ensure that we gather evidence to go and prove our cases in court. So information regarding the whereabouts of those who are perpetrating these offenses is needed. We will be able to follow that. I am confident that with the interaction that I have with my members on 24-hour basis, there is that commitment. So let the information come in, and then we will be able to pursue that and ensure that we successfully place the perpetrators of this heinous crime where they belong. Thank you.
Before we ask the Minister to close, one colleague here has a burning question, but Chief, you're sitting in front. When we close, you run quickly, you ask to get a scoop. Okay. Apologies.
My name is Nxumalo to SABC News. My question is slightly different, but still contributes to a fight against crime. I'm not sure who's going to answer it between the Minister and the National Commissioner. The Minister just mentioned that police will be out in the street, but there's lack of capacity. However, there are actions behind the scenes to try to capacitate police. Can you talk to us about the advert that is out calling for new recruits, so that we can tell our people out there? Thank you.
Who said there is a lack of capacity in the police? Are you saying so?
I'm saying so.
That is a lack of capacity?
Not a lack per se, but a shortfall.
Shortfall and lack of capacity, okay. Well, I want to answer that one because I don't understand what you.
Not a lack, correction, not a lack, but maybe a shortfall.
You see, I don't know that shortfall either. The police of South African police are trained 1 year. We'll do it again, Commissioner.
Yes.
We'll invite them, the media, where we're training a top product of the South African police in Tzaneen, in Tabazimbi. We invited the media there. We'll invite you again to come and see how do we produce human machines as the South African police level called the Special Task Force, your NIU, your CATS, your TRT, to come and see them training. When you train Special Task Force, you recruit 100 people, 1 passes. And if you tell me there's a lack of capacity on that one, I don't know what capacity is. then they belong to top 4 of the world in that category, top 4 of the world in that category. You will come and see them. So the question of lack of capacity, it's maybe we have not unleashed all capacity. The call we have made is that everybody is getting out of the barracks. Everybody stop specializing and everybody becomes the part of making sure that we take over the street, we squeeze the crime. Maybe it will be also my closing. We're squeezing the space in South Africa is too small. It cannot be shared between criminals and the law-abiding South African citizen. So we'll be part of squeezing the space, and the space must only fit the law-abiding South Africans. Maybe it will be prudent now to make a call to all South Africans and thank those. I thought it was a problem when my number was put in YouTube. My number was put in YouTube. I thought it was a problem because I really receive a lot of calls. But some of those calls are very significant and very important calls that have made us to work better. So we are thanking those members of the community and society, South Africans, who give us that information, as I thank the farmers there. But we're making the call, everybody. Can you all isolate and don't make these guys icons? Don't make them icons. Don't make them their heroes. They are criminals. They are heartless. They're supposed to be flushed out of the society and the community, not to be part of us, and make sure that all South Africans, you play a role, either quietly or shouting, play a role to say we shall not be run and be ruled by unelected criminal government. There must be government. Government must be elected. We're not going to parallel and jointly rule with criminals. South Africans must be safe. That's a call we're making. And that capacity body, I'll invite you and go and see how we create it. Where is it at the present moment?
Thank you very much, colleagues. That concludes.
No, he hasn't answered my question. My question is
Okay.
about
We have many rounds. You can take it.
I just wanted to add now. I think firstly, he did not mean what he said. Because the beauty of English is that when you say it, you don't mean it. And when you mean it, you don't say it. When you understand it is when you misinterpret it. So I think there's a continuous recruitment by SABC, not because of lack of capacity, because we want to respond to population growth. We also want to respond to modus operandi. So, yes, there's adverts out. Those adverts are for the purposes of us to recruit in order to respond to the community, to the current call for us to render service to the community. I know you did not mean that we've got a lack of capacity, and sorry about that. Thank you very much.
And you are only journalists I've come across that doesn't know that SABC recruit every year.
No, I know. I wanted just so that you can keep on informing the nation. That's what I wanted.
That's right.
The nation knows.
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you so much, Minister.
Thank you.
Didn't mean it.
Didn't mean it. Thanks, guys.
Good luck with your march on. Which one will you start, guys? If I could, I would make myself.
You can start with any one of them.
That's what I'm saying to the minister. If they can just come to address them, especially the minister.
No, we'll come. If you can speak to the lady behind you.
Okay.
There is a lady here. Here she is now. You
Minister, are we allowed for one more?
speak no.
Ask the lady
Speak with. Speak to this one. Yeah. No, this one. Renee.